So hi everyone, I'm Jacinthe and we're going to officially be starting our presentation on SURO. Some of you were here a little bit before and I gave a little bit of a sneak peek. So thank you for Healthy Planet and welcome to the webinar that they've organized on cold and flu. I'll be your host, I guess you would say tonight, and I'm happy to share with you our line of products, SURO, but also I'll show you some pictures of where SURO is so that you have an idea behind your products really and what it entails. So thanks for joining again, and I'm going to share my screen now with you. Oh, before I go share my screen, for those of you who just got here around 7:30, in the background, what you see is actually one of our elderberry fields. So it's really beautiful like this around July 1st. And we usually harvest the berries mid-August to end of September, depending on each year. Okay, so now I'm sharing with you my screen. Oh, we'll just move this out of the way. Okay, and here is the presentation that we're gonna go through tonight. Now, officially we have about 30 minutes, and then I will go back to Zoom and see if there was questions that came up, and we'll have a bit of extra time for answering questions, but I will take about half hour presenting a bit who SURO is and what the products are, which one you should pick for what issue. And don't worry if for some reason, if the question time is too short, you can always send us an email and ask us any questions. So for those who've never met us, SURO is a Canadian company. We're situated in Quebec. We started about 20 years ago, growing elderberries on our land, my husband and I. How it was started, basically, we bought a property south of Montreal, and we were looking for something to plant. My husband was trying to see which agriculture project he could start to earn a living from the land. And in a way, it's sort of elderberry that picked us and not us that picked elderberry, or it's a bit of both. And by the way, this is my wonderful husband, Sylvain. And this is our property where I put the little stars. We're close to Lake Champlain. And what happened was when we first moved here, I started to, explore and see all the herbs that, were medicinal or just edible herbs that grew naturally. And it sort of became a hobby of mine. So I started to make some products. In the past, I wasn't really into that necessarily. My background is in chiropractic and osteopathy and naturopathy. So it was more like a hobby, but, I'd always been, my dad was a chiropractor and he'd always favored plants and treatments. So my background was really always natural medicine. And when we got this place, I was interested in finding out what we had growing and started to make elderberry extract and elderberry syrup for my family. So meanwhile, my husband was looking for what to plant. And this is what was sort of the moment where he said, hey, why don't we plant elderberry? Because your syrup is really good and works great. And there was nothing on the market that was from Canada. And so we started planting, and 5 years later, it takes about 5 years to have this beautiful orchard. So 5 years later, it looks like that. By the way, I did see someone, that was like a message that said someone raised a hand. So I will go to the questions after, because right now when I'm sharing my screen, I don't see your questions. Okay, so 5 years later, it looks like this. And see how tall the bushes are able to grow. I'm a little bit worried because I see a lot of people raising their hands now. So I just want to be sure that everything is okay with the presentation. I'm just going to quickly check with my friend who's watching if she's saying that something is wrong. If not, please wait until, well, you can still ask the questions, but I'll come at the end to see what they are. Okay. Alrighty. So I was just told that there was a bit of a delay in the transmission of the sound, but it looks like it's all coming back. So as you can see, there's lots of beautiful flowers. So we're going to be talking about why sometimes we want to concentrate more on elderflowers versus elderberry. So you'll love to know the difference between them. By the way, the elderflowers like this, they smell a little bit like vanilla. Very, very nice. And this is what it looks like when it's picking season. So you can see at the top right that there's a cluster that's mixed green and mixed purple. So that one obviously we wouldn't take. And if it's still reddish, we still wouldn't pick it. We would really pick the berries when they're really purple. So just like that right here on your left, that's what they look like when we harvest. And of course, the beautiful flowers on the right side. So I want to tell you a little bit about the difference between Canadian elderberry and European elderberry. So Europe and Canada, we have the species called Sambucus nigra. So that gives those very dark purple, almost black elderberries. In Europe, they have the subspecies called nigra. So the long name is the Sambucus nigra, subspecies nigra. Whereas in Canada, we have the Sambucus nigra, subspecies canadensis. So what we usually do is give it the short name. We call it the Canadian one, Sambucus canadensis, and the European one, Sambucus nigra. They grow a little bit different. This is the European version. So you can see compared to what I showed you before in my aisles, mine were more like bushes, whereas this is more like a tree. But what's interesting is that there's the Canadian and the European elderberries have the same properties. So when you're talking about cold and flu, the Canadian elderberry has the same properties as the European elderberry. One of the perks of our variety that we're growing is that we can actually eat it raw. And the reason for that is there's no sambunigrin, which is found in the European elderberry, but not in the canadensis that we grow here. So if you see out there information on internet about watch out, don't eat elderberries when they're raw, it's okay for the variety that we grow here, the Sambucus canadensis, but the European one, definitely what we know is that it should be treated with heat so that you don't have the effect of the sambunigrin. Otherwise, it will give you an upset stomach, basically. So that's a nice perk about the canadensis. Of course, with this color, there's lots of antioxidants, but I want to bring the attention to the fact that there's loads of vitamin C. There's actually almost as much vitamin C as in oranges. It's 80% equivalent. So that's pretty amazing because in this time of the year, when it's September, when in the old days they didn't have any ways to preserve food except by drying it, and they didn't have vitamin C in tablets. Well, nature was giving us a beautiful gift of having vitamin C accessible. So I want to talk also about cyanide. Some people are probably familiar with articles or with worries about cyanide and elderberry. There is a study that was recently finished by the University of Missouri that really cleared this subject. The reason it was a worry for some people is many years ago, there was a group of people, I think it was in California, and they had drank elderberry juice and had gotten sick from it. And it was believed that it was cyanide that was the trouble. But what we've come to find out is that they had pressed the juice, they had kept the stems, they had kept some leaves. So it really wasn't just the elderberries, it was a lot of parts from the plant as well. So, but it stayed around and people worried about it. But just for you guys to know, there's, the cyanide that is found is mostly in the stems and in the leaves. By the time you get to the fruit, there's barely any, and there's actually less than in apples. So that gives you an idea, of how safe elderberry is. Antioxidants, I thought I'd throw that in there. When my husband and I started to grow elderberries, there wasn't much people doing this. And I thought, how come nobody's doing elderberry when research shows there's 2 to 3 times more antioxidants than blueberries and cranberries? But all we heard about was blueberries, or mostly blueberries. So that's super interesting to know. Okay, now we're going to talk about the different properties. And what I want you to be able to do at the end of this presentation is to say, do I need an elderberry product? Do I need an elderflower product? Or would I like something that has both? So I'll show you our products so you know which is which, but why would you want one over the other? So first of all, elderberry is a really, really old tradition. It's been around for centuries in Europe, in North America. It's been very well known for helping with cold and flu. Now, how does it work? That's something that's a bit more recent that we found out how it works. So if you're thinking, I want to be more preventative, I want to just help support my immune system, I would recommend using an elderberry product, because elderberry is what has the antiviral properties. So when you're thinking of a viral infection, as opposed to bacterial infection, bacterias, if they have like the right maybe temperature, right environment, they can multiply on their own, but viruses are dependent on other cells. They need to invade our cells and then reproduce this way. So this is where elderberry is really key. There's some research showing that it helps originally to block from the virus being able to penetrate our cells. And some research also shows that it slows down replication once the infection has started. So replication, we could, if we were talking internet language, we would say going viral. So when the virus replicate, it means they're multiplying. So elderberry has also been known to slow down that process. So it's good in prevention, but it also makes a difference if someone has started to have some symptoms, makes a difference in how much ill or how long they will stay ill. It usually helps to, many studies show it usually helps to cut down on the number of days that you're sick and cut down on the symptoms. So that's super helpful. But in terms of symptoms, what I would recommend is if you have started to have symptoms, you would like to combine elderberry with elderflower, because elderflower's properties are mainly to help with fever. It's a natural diaphoretic, so that means it helps to sweat out. It also helps as an expectorant, so expectorants help move mucus out. So if you're started to have symptoms, then definitely combining the two is interesting. Just a little word about Cytokine Storm. There was a study done, and the study in question talked about how elderberry stimulated inflammatory cytokines, and people were afraid, to have problems and cause a cytokine storm. Now, the study was taken out of context, and there's actually other studies that show that elderberry actually helps also anti-inflammatory cytokines. So it's more like a regulator. And I had the chance many years ago to meet the researcher of these studies at an elderberry summit. And this is something that we had talked about before, even the cytokine storm being an information going out there. And I was sharing with her that I thought, oh, maybe it's not good if it stimulates inflammation. But she goes, no, it also stimulates anti-inflammatory cytokines and helps to balance. So nothing to worry about in that sense. So before we leave this slide, what we need to remember is, if we are thinking of just prevention, we want an elderberry product. If we are thinking of having lots of mucus, but maybe being towards the end of a cold, or maybe like seasonal allergies, then you'd be thinking of an elderflower product. And if you're just starting something, then the best would be to have both of them in the product. So here is some of the products that the SURO makes. This is based mainly on elderflowers. So on the left side, those of you who like to make elderflower tea, that's just the elderflowers. Make them as a tea, straight like that, or with a bit of honey. And on the right, it's actually the same products, but the middle one, the SURO Breathe in the center, is a capsule format. And on the right side, we have a liquid format. You would take this product if you have issues that are more like towards congestion. So maybe not the beginning of the cold, but if someone has started to cough a lot and it's a productive cough, then this is a great product to help move the mucus out. Really helps relieve sinus and chest congestion. So we think of this for cold and flu towards the middle or the end, but we also think of this product for seasonal allergies. Now, the next products here, these are just elderberry products. So when do we use this one? We think of these products if we want to help our immune system because of the antiviral properties of elderberry. You can take elderberry in a tincture format. That's the one with a little squeezer. You can take it in capsules, and you can also use the concentrate. That's the one in the box. Now, the three products are great. I can't say that one is better than the other. I would say it depends on your lifestyle. If you're on the road a lot, you might enjoy the capsules more. You can take them by plane, in the plane as well, soon when we're able to fly. Well, we are able to fly, but not as easily. So, go with your lifestyles. The capsules are great for that. The tincture is great because it's already been extracted. So there's the bioavailable effect that we're thinking about. And then the concentrate, well, anybody that loves, cooking, what's great about the concentrate is it's just elderberry juice, very concentrated. So you can actually include your natural medicine maybe in your kitchen cabinet. So maybe put it in your yogurt, put in your cereals. We have lots of parents who love to make gummies with that product. What's special about the concentrate? Why is it a 5-to-1? That means you actually, in 1 spoonful, you actually have 5 spoonfuls of elderberry. So we concentrated using freeze drying units. So that really ensures that we keep much more properties because there's no heat involved. So this is just pure elderberry products. The next slide. Oh, I forgot that I put this in. Well, just a quick note about the elderberry concentrate. I talked about making the gummies, and we have oftentimes people who say, hey, it's only good for 30 days. Is there a way I could keep it longer? Well, just make ice cubes with it, and you'll be able to extend the life of the product. The reason it's not good forever is because there's no preservatives. So the syrups that you're familiar with, there's honey and apple cider vinegar, and that helps preserve, but not the concentrate. And here is the gummies that I mentioned. This is really great to do because I don't know anybody who doesn't like gummies. But sometimes what's nice about making it yourself is you can pick your ingredients. So when I make this batch, I usually use honey. You can use sugar if you prefer, or if you have sugar on hand. But using honey is nice because you have a good sugar. We put cinnamon, things like that to, give it a little flavor. What I'll do is I have a recipe right here. So if you guys want to get this recipe, just write us an email on our general SURO email, which is easy to remember because it's info@suro.ca. Even if you forget, you just go on the website and where it says contact us, it'll come to that email, and I'll share with you the recipe. Okay, so those were just the elderberry products. We were thinking prevention, and now we're thinking, okay, I started to have a tickle in my throat or a cough. Which product should I take? Well, this is the one that I would recommend if you've started to have an issue. The reason is we combine the benefit of elderberry with elderflower, and what is really great is there's raw honey in the product. So this is really a syrup. It's not just an elderberry juice or elderberry extract. That's a formula I made over 18 years ago, 19 years ago. What came naturally was making it using the berries that we have, of course, but I've always had raw honey personally, or even with our family. Raw honey has natural antibacterial properties. So when you want a really good syrup, it's a great ingredient to have. The other ingredients is apple cider vinegar. Again, another great antibacterial, and propolis extract, which is really great for upper respiratory tract infections. Now you see also a little bit of echinacea with the picture. In a minute, I'll explain the difference between the two versions, but just for you guys to know, this is really great when symptoms start. It's not just the power of elderberry, but it's the honey that soothes, locally as well, where you've been getting the cough and the tickle. And a lot of times, if you're able to take it soon, you'll help yourself by, it won't deteriorate as much. So this one, we combine the elderberry with the elderflower because we want the benefit of the flower for the mucus. We also want the benefit of elderberry, and we have this beautiful honey that helps with the cough as well, and the propolis. So two syrups, they're pretty much the same. You don't need to remember this chart all by heart, but what I just wanted to get your attention to is the fact that they have the same ingredients that you see in the middle of the slide. The only difference is the one on the left that we call the regular or the adult formula also has a bit of echinacea. So that was our first formula. That's the one I made just for, my family. And eventually, when my husband started to sell the syrup on the market, a lot of people were asking him, can you please make a kid's version that has no alcohol? So the one on the right is almost the same ingredients, but what we do is SURO does the extracts in apple cider vinegar instead of alcohol, and there's no echinacea. So this way, if someone is immune compromised and they're, avoiding echinacea, it really helps to take that version instead. So if someone prefers no alcohol, even if it's called the kids, by all means, send them to the kids. And they'll be happy because it's pretty much the same dosage of the other medicinal ingredients. Another great thing about the product, they're good for many years, even opened. We often get a call about this. So 3 years for the kids and 4 years for the regular adult formula, even open. But please refrigerate it once open, because keeping it away from light and heat is going to make a huge difference for sure in preserving more properties. But it's nice because if you just take a quarter of the bottle or half of the bottle, well, you put it back in the fridge and it's available for the next family member who needs it. So those are the syrups. When you guys try it, if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet, please remember the honey is not there to sweeten, not at all. The honey is there really to help as a medicinal ingredient as well. So it is in that sense sweet because of the honey, but you're not taking it as a juice for an everyday, you're taking it for natural medicine. I have this slide that I put in there on purpose because I wanted to share with you that the syrup is made with the full berries. It's not made like from the powder that's rehydrated. It has the entire berry. We just remove the seed. And this slide makes me think of that because that's what we do with the pile of seeds that we accumulate. We give it to these beautiful little animals. Now I want to share with you a word about these syrups. You have probably seen them at Healthy Planet on the shelves, and you're wondering what's the difference between this one and the one that I already take. So it's the same basic formula as the ones that you saw that you already know and take. The only difference is this has a nighttime twist. So you see on the left side, there's some chamomile or some lemon balm, passion flower. Those are the herbs that you will find in these. So I don't want to go through all of them because it's easier sometimes to just read it, but on outside. But what I just want to explain the difference. That's what they have more than the others don't have. They also have the nighttime twist. So you're getting ready to go to bed. You've got the benefit of the honey, the propolis, and everything that you know, and the elderberry. But on top of that, you'll get herbs that really help promote a good night's sleep. And the reason for the 3 formulas is we had to be sure that the syrup was as efficient for a small child as for a teen and an adult. So there's more herbs in the adult. There's actually 6, all 6 of the herbs that you see on the top of the screen. Valerian is there too. All those herbs are in the adult. The teen has a little bit less and the kids has a little bit less. And there's also some menthol. So when you go to bed, this is really nice because it helps to clear your sinuses at the same time. Now, just a little quick note about this product. We have many of our clients that like the formula that we use in the sleep syrups. And they were saying, I'd love to have the syrup just, to sleep. I don't have a cold. I just want to have the herbs that you're using. So we do offer this product just for helping get a good night's sleep for those people who have issues with that. So it's herbal based. There's no melatonin. So that would be the biggest difference with what you'll find on the market. If melatonin works for you, keep using it. But, if it didn't make a difference for you, chances are it's not hormonal. And a product like this could be really helpful. So there's 2. The regular eye sleep is good for teens and adults, and the extra strong is just for adults. You find 4 herbs in the regular formula: passion flower, lemon balm, chamomile, and linden. So great herbs to help calm down. At the end of the day, when you've had a very stressful day, sometimes it's the only reason you're not falling asleep. You just still all wired up. So these herbs help calm you down and put you in that mode where you'll have a good night's sleep. The regular one can also be used just for that at a smaller dose to, help decrease stress. And the extra strong has those same 4 herbs, but it also has valerian and skullcap. And we have lots of good comments. People have good results with this. So that's also available at Healthy Planet. Now, a word about SURO's Chaga. This is the 4 products that you find that we offer. What I mainly want you guys to take away is it's only Canadian Chaga. And why would you use Chaga? It's an immune modulator. So what I would probably do is in the winter months, I would stick with elderberry because it's more concentrating in terms of being an antiviral. But if you want to help support your immunity the rest of the time, Chaga being an immune modulator helps to balance more generally and has much more effects for your immune system. So we use only Canadian Chaga in the products. It's harvested usually in Northern Ontario and New Brunswick. So that's the one thing that really you need to take away. You can use it in extract, capsules, powder, or chunks. My favorite is the extract because when you take Chaga, it's very hard and woody. And the nice thing about the extract is that it, renders it more bioavailable than if you just sprinkle powder. You'll absorb more, I believe, when it's in extract form. So we do it as a dual extract. That way, water pulls some of the components, and those that are not water soluble, there's also a bit of alcohol that will make a difference in extraction as well. So that's my favorite one, the Chaga extract. It's a 1-to-1 concentration. So that means for every milliliter, which is about 20 drops, you get 1,000 milligrams worth of Chaga. Also available in the capsules, the powder. Most people who use the powder use it to sprinkle. Sometimes they make also concoction. So basically similar to an extract, but starting with the powder. And the Chaga chunks are very popular. If you like chai tea, what I would suggest is when you make your Chaga tea, follow the directions on the package, but also add some cinnamon and maybe some ginger or cardamom. it will make a big difference in taste. Chaga tea by itself, is not as tasty, I would say. It's not, doesn't taste bad, but it's a bit bland. So turning it into a chai tea is really nice. Now it's Canadian chaga, but what you should also know is the fact that it's certified organic chaga. So what's the difference between certified organic and just picking it wild? Well, there's a lot of spraying going on in forests, either of pesticide spraying done by plane or herbicide spraying. So it's important that when you get your chaga, it's nice because it's wild, but it's important to be sure to harvest in areas that haven't been exposed to that. And that's what the organic certification does. So that's something to watch for when taking chaga. And I leave you with this beautiful blooming season from last year. It's actually the picture right behind me. So you had a sneak peek. And for you cat lovers, here's two of our cats that hang around our logo. So the logo that we have actually exists in the backyard. And you see one in the middle of the arms on the right side, and you see a reddish one called Pumpkin on the left side. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go see some of the questions that you have.